What's up, guys? Welcome to Bro Beats. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a new grid method for your melodies. If you guys haven't subbed already or turned post installments, you do so because those have it a lot. Let's hop right into it. So in this video, I want to really focus on this method. So I'm gonna go step by step, and maybe if we have time, I'll turn it into a beat for the outro, but you know, we'll figure that out. So I'm grabbing a scale, and we can just run with, we could do a minor, of course. Let's do a D sharp minor. Right, we can always transpose if the notes are too low. So let's go ahead and get started on the first little step to this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on the first step, which are the chords. And I like to start with these first because I think people don't really take them seriously, right? And I like to compare chords to like nutrition. When you're young and everything, you know nutrition is important, but you only know it because older people tell you so, and you don't take it seriously, right? But as you get older and you grow up, you realize how important nutrition is, right? And especially if you're working out to get gains, your nutrition needs to be on point. So same with chords. A lot of people they know about it. They know chords are important, but they only take it seriously when they get more seasoned as a producer, right? So I'm trying to prevent that. So first thing we do is just pull down our root and then just make a chord out of this. And if you struggle with finding chords, use the internet. Look up chord progressions. You could do all that. You don't need to make it from scratch. I just like doing it from scratch. Or you can even use these, okay? But let's just make this here. All right. And then we can just use some methods I showed y'all. And for this one, for this grid method, I'm gonna show y'all, in order to set this up, your chords need to be completely on the grid like this. What chords you use doesn't matter, but they need to 100% be on the grid like this. So for this one, I'm gonna hold shift and go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and we can just make this easier and copy this over. And then let's copy it over one more time. And let's just pull this up. And I'm just showing y'all an easy little chord progression you can make. So this is the start. All right, so those are our chords, and now I'm gonna go to the next part where we can kind of manipulate these a little bit. All right, so next up, what we're gonna do is open the chords, and this will just make them look more complex and just give it more range. So I have two tips for you for this one. And basically you can either take the middle note of these chords and pull it up or down an octave. It's up to you on what sounds good to you. And these are just things that work. Okay, you can obviously take any note that you want, right? But I'm just giving people direction that probably want a more of a guided way to do it. And the other way is to take the top note in your chord. So even if you have a seventh, you take the top and you take the bottom, and then you can pull these up or down an octave. And if it'll play. All right. So we can take these, well, actually, let's take this middle one and pull it down. And we can kind of combine these a little bit. Let me see what I want to do here. Take this C, and this is the same chord. Matter of fact, let's take these two, pull them down, right? And over here, let's do the same thing. I think over here we just did the middle one. All right, so the last step we need to do is make these super small. So about half. So maybe if we go use the half a beat grid, this will work. So you want your chords to look like this for this method I'm showing y'all in this video. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the next part. All right, so in this next part, I got a new term for y'all. So if you are new here, I do come up with like little dumb terms for certain things that are like melody types. And I know those aren't the like technical names, but I just like to come up with my own names for them because it helps me remember them and stuff, right? So this one is called the trickle. So you could trickle up or trickle down. And all you're doing is taking the same exact notes in your chord and you're trickling it down or you're trickling it up. So I like to go down. It usually sounds better to me. So I'm gonna use a different color for this. And then you're just gonna copy the notes, but you wanna be completely on the grid. And I'm gonna even change the grid to beat so we can't even mess up. And you just wanna go all the way down until you finish the chord out. And this part is going to make your melody sound really good once we put the melody and everything in. All right, and that's all you really need to do. So I'll just play it all together. All right, so there's the trickle. We got a new term on the channel now, but let's go ahead and go to the next part. All right, so once again, we have a new term, which is called the snake. Okay, and in this, we are in a 1/2 beat grid, right? And this is the grid that you'll use for this entire method in this vid. And I'm using yellow for this method. So the snake, pretty much all you would do is, oh, let me get these notes right. All you would do is just in order, just place all your notes. Don't put any spaces, just completely, right? And that's why I call it the snake, because it kind of looks like a snake when you pull these all out. All right, but specifically for this method, you want to start off of the chords. So wherever this note ends, you want to continue to snake out, right? You don't want to overlap it. You can, but this is just to follow the method. So I'm going to start on the root, and we can just kind of do something like this. All right, so that's pretty much how this is going to go. All right, so just remember, you want this dynamic. You don't want it like this for the most part. It can sound good, but for this method to work, you kind of want to stick to this as best as you can. So to keep this catchy, right, I want to copy this over because I want it to keep coming back to this D sharp. Oh wait. And now we just change the notes how we want. And you can really do whatever you want. Right? So I'm gonna just put some random ones in. Right? And it's up to you. This is the part where you be real creative. So I'm gonna just try something else. Let me see. Let's go up. Let's do a flam. Then over here, let's pull this back. All right, so that is the snake method, okay? And this is probably the most important part here because it's filling in the gaps, all right? All that empty space. All right, so let's go ahead and finish with our last part. All right, so the last term I'm gonna introduce is called the toggle. And I call it the toggle is because you just going from one note to another note. It's kind of like flipping the switch on and off. That's why I call it the toggle. So you're going from one note, off, on, off, on, off, on, or on, off, whatever, right? So something like that. And you could choose any notes you want. Now you could kind of dive into music theory and be like, oh, okay, so we got the D sharp right here and the F sharp. So you could toggle between these notes. Right, you could do that, but I like to go by ear, just so it comes out better. So you can just pick any note you want to start with. And then you want to toggle it like this, okay? You don't want to do it like this. Because what's going to happen is it's going to start to sound annoying. So you want to stretch it out. Right, we could do something like this. Okay, you can use other notes. I don't know, we could try some other ones, see if they sound good. And we can combine these two, right? And I'm not trying to limit y'all, I'm just trying to give you the guide. And I'm just trying to show you some ways that you can mix it up too. All right, and then from here, if you want, you can offset them, right? You can add other notes. All right, and that's kind of the next step to be creative with it. But for the most part, we can just, and I kind of like this dynamic. We can just keep it on this kind of grid, I guess. So it should be at this length. All right. So there's that. So next, what I'm gonna do is, well, I guess I'm gonna just chop this part up. So I'm gonna just go to the next part. All right, so one of the last things we're gonna do is actually bleed the melody. All right, so you can see it sounds super robotic right now. All right, and if you don't want that sound, what we're gonna do is bleed it. All right, so you wanna highlight it and just drag it all the way through, or you can hold Alt if you wanna be specific. All right, but depending on your sound selection, you may or may not need to do this, but for me, I do. So I'm gonna just kind of pull these all the way through. You can see it's gonna sound a little bit better than before. Right now it sounds more melody-like. So I'm gonna take this cut tool and just hold Shift and cut these, and we can just delete these. All right, and we can pull these over for comparison. Shift D to pull these back, and now we have. All right, so the next part, I'm gonna just show you how to get your bass line since we kind of messed these chords up a bit. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so lastly is the bass line. So with this, and we have our chords as green, okay? Now, since we open these up in inverted notes and stuff, usually the bottom notes will be our bass line. Okay, so you have to do trial and error because sometimes the original bass line will sound good, but you can never really go wrong with using the original. Okay, but it may be a little off, so you have to do trial and error, right? So you could try something like this, and I'm gonna pull these up, but I'm sure 100% one of these notes are gonna sound off. All right, so I'm thinking this F is sounding bad. So what you need to do, right, and I'm just trying to show you the process of how to do this, is go back to your chords. Don't look at any other notes, look at your chords. You can kind of revert back if you want. You can say, oh, the original chord was a D sharp minor, so the D sharp is the bass note, right? And if that doesn't work, you can just take the long route and just kind of, oh, let me try A sharp and see if that sounds good. Right, if the A sharp doesn't sound good, then you use the last note within the chord, and usually that will be the note. And right, and that's just how you troubleshoot it, because no beat or melody you make is going to be a one shot straight through every time, right? So you're going to, at some point, you're going to have to do some problem solving. So I'm gonna just kind of pull this up, and then we could play it on this side. I'm gonna just play it all the way through one time. Go ahead. And you can see this part sounds a little bit better. So that's it for this video. That's the grid method. Hopefully this will help you out. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.